All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm still messing around with being able to live stream. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm still messing around with being able to live stream. Yeah, I can hear myself. There we go. All right. Hopefully everybody else. No, nobody can hear me. That's not good. Mute it. How do I unmute myself? Okay. All right. I probably should end the stream. I don't know. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If anybody's there, let me see here. Okay. Well, we have some interesting topics to talk about today. First and foremost, what the hell is this? It just shows you that, all the movies we used to watch as kids about pride in the House, in the chambers, in the Senate, and Congress, and everything was so professional and organized. Literally, ever since 2020, everything that would make another country or even ourselves take ourselves seriously is being destroyed. Case in point, why is there a grown ass man naked in the Senate hearing room? No idea. And if you read the article, it says that he went to all four of the floors and was looking back at the camera. I'm like, did he not think he was going to get caught? Obviously he did. But what he knows is that he will be protected. There will be nobody coming to help him. Pause. So, another thing that's kind of crazy. I had a post that was removed, and then I believe it was put back on. But I had made a post. It was about the video. Now, it was falsely reported that a person had died earlier in a grenade attack in the Ukraine. However, after doing further research and observing the video, those were not real live grenades. Those were actually flash bombs or flash grenades. And flash grenades can be deadly. But there were people that were injured, no fatalities. However, 6 people are critically injured as of today. So we wanted to dial back the fact that they said somebody had passed away. But if you think about it, I'm not the only one. I was saying that the last 2 years, the censorship surrounding my current accounts has not been that bad at all. And hopefully they stay that way. But now with the elections on the way and we got less than a year, I'm getting hit with these every day. Matter of fact, while I was on live yesterday, I had my whole account deleted while I was on live. And I had to respond and yada, yada. I was able to get it back. But for how long? Who knows? So, but what I said that they didn't like was essentially fuck Ukraine. America first. And if you ask me, America last, America only is where I'm going with this. And I said something that it makes sense to me and it makes sense in general, that the Ukraine is effectively gone. The Ukraine is gone. This was a huge gamble anyway to go against the Russian Federation. Why do they think the Russians who have the upper hand, who have officially won, they've destroyed 3 NATO armies in the Ukraine. Now they actually have a clear path to Kiev. Artemovsk fell. The whole Donbass is gone. It's all under the control of the Russians, who are already building homes and apartments and rebuilding the infrastructure, electricity, etc. Remember, they have all the power. That Nord Stream pipeline to Germany is cut. everyone in Europe right now is struggling. And when it gets colder over the next 2 months with no fuel, what are they going to do? No bright ideas. I'm sure they're going to try to use one of those other pipelines through Turkey or some other the Turk stream or whatever. But the main source of their power was coming from Russia. So instead of calling the Ukraine, just call it whatever the Russians are going to tell you to call it pretty soon. Because what they're doing now is they're reverting back to the old names that were in Russian and not these new Ukrainian names. So, for example, Bakhmut is now Artemovsk. And they're effectively renaming cities, and I believe they're going to have to rename the entire region. There are reports that Poland wants to take the western of Ukraine. However, that would probably likely result in a conflict, because if you put Russia in Ukraine's space, and if you put Poland in Ukraine's space, and Poland's a part of NATO, well, then that literally again triggers. You're still at that red line for Russia, which they cannot have a nuclear armed, a hostile organization like NATO, which shouldn't even exist anymore, on their borders with nukes and weapons that could probably hit Moscow. Therefore, I mean, they want to do that, but that's not going to happen. I do think that if the Russians are smart, they are going to go to Kiev and they're going to go all the way to the Polish border. Excuse me. They'll stop there. They'll regroup and they'll decide what's next. They do know that there will be a continued campaign against them as long as these nations that used to be formerly Soviet Republic, the Soviet Union, those nations that are now independent. But are they independent? Tell me, what's the GDP of Estonia? What do they produce? What do they do? You know, if you look at it, a lot of these countries only exist because of 30 to 50 billion infusions they receive from the United States every year. They couldn't stand on their own. Can't take care of themselves. So do they even really exist, or are they all just, I don't know, United States pop-up shops, you know, that we have to fund them just to keep their economies going? Are they real? And what is defending them? Do you have sovereignty if you can't even defend yourself? I don't know. But I do know that, you know, any country with any sense and self-preservation is just not going to let an enemy build up troops and amass forces on its own borders. We wouldn't just watch as the Chinese military slowly but surely built up millions of troops, you know, 50 miles south of Tijuana, or, you know, 30 miles, 100 miles north of Edinburgh, of, you know, Alberta, Canada. We wouldn't do it if we were smart. So I wouldn't expect anyone else to allow the same if they had any sense. So in my opinion, the Russians will not be negotiating. Negotiations were 6 months ago to a year ago. There's no need to negotiate. It's better just to take all of the Ukraine and figure out what to do with it later. At least you don't have to worry about being attacked. This next one is Colby Covington. He had a few things to say about your boy.
Employ all these laborers and use these women and pay them pennies on the dollar to make your millions. Fuck you, LeDrom Gent. You're a coward. You're a spineless coward. You're a bitch. They hate America so much, and you don't like this country that gave you $1 billion. Leave it. Or come deal with me. Go to China. Go to these sweatshops that you employ all these laborers and use these women and pay them pennies on the dollar to make your millions. Fuck you, LeDrom Gent. You're a coward. You're a spineless coward. You're a bitch.
And I agree with him. Let's think about it. For the past 3 years, we've been getting heavily censored on the internet. Did that take away our thoughts and our views on patriotism and what we feel is best for our country and our home, and how we don't want to be around, we don't want to live amongst people that hate our country and our home? No, it just actually helped us find each other easier. What this man is saying is correct. If you don't want to stand for the flag, you don't want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, you hate America, America's this and America's that, well, you do have two choices that you didn't have before. Before, you could just hate America and still live here peacefully. Those aren't the options on the table anymore. There's a new movie coming out where in the preview, a soldier stops two people, and the first thing they say is, we're American. And the soldier responded with a reply that shocks everybody, but I think is a completely fair question, even though it's just a movie. It's just a movie for now. He asked, what kind of American? What kind of American are you? You're American. What does that mean to me? What was the guy from Oklahoma City? Timothy McVeigh. He was an American. These BLM Marxist protesters, the ones that tried to do an insurrection on the White House, what was it, May 29th? They're all Americans. Everything that's happening when they burned down our cities during the summer of love, they were also Americans. So LeBron, now you have a choice. You can either leave America, which is a place you hate, and find somewhere better, or you're going to have to deal with, he said, come deal with me. The sentiment is growing because if it's 2023 United States of America, this isn't 1958 Cuba. This is not, we don't have, there's nowhere for us to run once this falls. Once America falls, there's nowhere else for us to go. So we're going to have to fight tooth and nail to the end to protect our current home. There is no plan B. There's no small bastion of freedom island somewhere where we can go and live our lives in peace. There is nowhere. This is it. So when Cummings is saying that, I can understand him and I feel him and I agree. If you hate this country so much, if this country is so racist and so dangerous, why are you raising your kids here? I mean, wouldn't that mean that you're automatically exposing them to child abuse? If you're saying that this is an abusive, bad place, then wouldn't that mean that you're putting your child in danger automatically? Well, then why do you even have custody of your child if you can't protect them? If you really want to protect them, and if what you're saying is true, you would move them out of the country, find somewhere safer. Fair question. What kind of American are you? Are you a patriot? Or do you want to watch this place burn, knowing that you're actually in the place that's going to be burning? You're that brainwashed by whatever that television is telling you to think and to say, and all these videos telling you that you're oppressed and that you're a victim. I don't know, but you got a choice. You got to deal with Kobe right there. We'll see how that goes. Big Bang Theory. Sounds like a show produced in Hollywood. The funny thing about Hollywood and why I like Hollywood, for the most part, everybody complied. Just like the NBA and the NFL, except for two superstars, Kyrie Irving, Aaron Rodgers. Those are only two public people I know that didn't comply. But in Hollywood, how many people decided? I mean, a lot of, Redman. He's a American artist from, I believe he's from New Jersey. He had a big role on a hit show. And they told him, you got to join a medical experiment that's going around the world that no one knows how it ends, or you got to just become a part of it. You got to basically donate your body to science while you're still alive. He said no, and he left the show. But what that tells me is that everyone else on that show said yes. And that's a scary thought because, well, we know what kind of people are on that show, what they look like. And then we know what the people look like who you see on TV every day that are just suddenly just being deleted, just out of the blue. So if we see some people from that roster on that show, it would make sense if you suspect it. So, and I have to talk in a roundabout way because I'm on these different platforms, whatever. And you're not allowed to talk about these things. So, but let's Big Bang Theory star Kate McCusey reveals a lung cancer diagnosis. Sounds like he smokes a pack or two a day. Oh, wait, what? Never smoked a cigarette a day in my life. The actress and comedian, only 43 years old, said she had a successful surgery to remove the cancer after it was caught early. That's not something you used to see before 2021, huh? People being diagnosed with lung. It's crazy. Back in LA, I had another celebrity friend, kind of a relative, diagnosed with throat cancer out of the blue, and not gradual, literally stage 4, as soon as they found out. Had to go through major surgeries. It's kind of funny and kind of crazy. What's the first thing that you do after you have a major surgery? Oh, you got to take medication. Where does the medication come from? Yeah, you might say CVS or whatever, or the doctor prescribes it. Okay, yeah, cool. Who produces it? Oh, okay. So you got to pay them for your medication. It's funny that everybody did back in 2021. If that came from the same people who you now have to go back to just to get more things you got to take to stay alive, that means that was a pretty fucking genius and very successful business strategy, if I may say so myself. And I'm not, the most polished person, but I do think there is a slight brilliance. You know what it is? I just gave people more credit than that. I really thought people were smarter than that. And I didn't think anybody would, be that gullible, but I was fucking wrong. But at least this person survived. This person, however, he didn't survive, but what does he look like? And do you know how young 61 is? How old is Snoop? Because he's still kicking. But you know what? I think Snoop took that. I think so. Because didn't he do like a little rap or something for it? He didn't do Vax That Thing Up. Because that was your other folks. That was Juvie and them. I'm talking about. I'm thinking I don't know. I think he wanted to play ball. It's beautiful how they use reverse psychology, and they used these people. They use their own racism against them. Because if you think about it, I remember I have a decent memory when it comes. I kept track of everything because I did lives back then. I remember I did a live talking about how certain studios were saying that they wanted to fight injustice in Hollywood. So what they're going to do is they're going to do an injustice towards white males and give those roles to black males for social equity. But what they really did was they fired those white males and said, don't come to the studio because we're going to require that you get something to come into the studio to be on these shows and audition. And they told the black guys, hey, you know what? Come. We're going to put you in this role. It was supposed to be for this person. We're going to give it to you because of equity. And it's like, if you were such a lowlife that you accepted a role that was not for you based solely on your appearance, literally they gave it to you out of it's basically like an equity hire. You're not there because you have talent or because you're the best person for the job. You're basically there because they have a quota to fill. If you took that and you said, okay, that makes sense to me, that seems fair, and you went and you did that, and you took that shot and you got the role, and after that role you're no longer with us, my sympathy for you plummets because you're literally no better than that thing I guess you used to hate. You can't hate it no more. You're not here. So all your problems are gone anyway. No more bills, no more oppression, no more racism. I guess it worked out for them in the end. I mean, if you subscribe to that. Ooh, my guy Hocus. Shout out Hocus 4/5. The rabbit hole.
I settlement with Shaw, okay? And he lost you that gentleman. That's why he's so famous. They land on the contracts. It's these attorneys, which are
You know, he has a strong accent, and I thought he was like some crazy person because he's wearing a gown. But what he said was Mark Garagos, and this is in the year 2017. Mark Garagos' name is famous from the Juice trials. Remember OJ? And then he named another. He's literally naming names. And he said Puffy is a part of the Illuminati, but a offset smaller branch for blacks called the Boule. Apparently, whoever it is does not like certain people anymore. And he's on the chopping block. In my opinion, like I've said on the internet, they're gonna hit Puffy with a RICO charge soon. No pun intended. And his best thing to do would be what Russell Simmons did, which is evacuate immediately to a country that doesn't have an extradition treaty and just manage your finances from afar. That's the smartest, most responsible thing one can do. You push false propaganda, yet here you are, Mitch, tuned in. Yo, what's up, Shay? How you doing? Yeah, I've been away for a little while. I've been working. I've been in another part of the state, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and I keep posting stuff, so I figure I want to just, bring it up. We can talk about it. Now, one thing about me that anybody knows me personally knows I cannot judge. I don't judge anybody's personal life. I don't judge anybody's sex life, any of that. If Cassie is saying that they were paying male prostitutes, and I'll be honest, this is 2023. People are into some of the weirdest things I've ever heard of, I've ever seen. People have all kind of kinks. And I think it's disingenuous that after the fact, when you're regretting it because you're with your new significant other and they're guilty, you feel guilty, you throw your ex under the bus like, oh, I didn't want to have sex with these men that I used to pick out to have sex with. He made me. But remember, all the doors in your house, the locks are on they're on the outside. So that means if you're inside, you can just walk out and leave. You don't have to stay there. And you can't say no. And as adults, we do have to choose. But there's more to this, because when it comes to Diddy, they're talking about people who were killed. Exes, business associates, friends. And it seems like somebody has all the information and they're slowly putting it out. So I guess either somebody didn't get paid or somebody got pissed off, or it's time to get him out of the way for some reason. He fell out of favor with someone. I've seen this exact pattern happen with other men. I remember when it was Weinstein at one time. And I remember when it was, who else went through this? A lot of people, actually. Jamie Foxx is actually, which is strange, he's on the chopping block going through this. He got allegations against him too right now. Your favorite actors, a lot of them black. Actually, I did a share. We're going to go to it, where I shared like 20 of them all hit in the same week, all hit out of the state of New York. So what that tells people is stay out of New York because somebody from 20, 30 years ago can come and say, hey, look, this person did this to me back in 1991. No, I don't have any proof. No, I don't have any evidence. No, there was no rape kit. There was no charges. No. But believe me now, 30 years later, that's what happens. That's what happened. And, one of my biggest disappointments that I have with people is that when did we stop demanding evidence? We've all watched Maury. You know how many times I've seen somebody say, I'm 10,000 million% sure that this is the father. I haven't had sex with nobody else. I've never done anything else. How many times have we seen people lie? But yet you still want me to just believe. Just blindly believe. Like, since when does that make sense? When is believing blindly just been a logical option? I have no idea. But I don't do it. And I don't believe in it. And I don't suggest anyone does it. But, you got a lot of people that are getting a lot of these cases from a long time ago. And it reminds me of the stuff with NASA. They can tell you there's a black hole 50 billion miles away. They don't got to prove it's there, but you can't disprove that it's there. So we're going to just believe it because we can't prove it either way. It would make more sense that we don't believe it until there is some kind of proof. And that goes for these allegations with these men too. I remember they did a survey about Bill Cosby, for example, who this also happened to. And when they initially, the pool of women that had allegations against them, I think it was like 30 out of 60, 30 of them had never actually met him in person. So you had people making allegations about the man that had never even met him. Were those women charged or anything? Nope. It's crazy. It's like, it's when you weaponize people's good hearts and their sympathy, and you can use that as a weapon to point at someone and just take them down. Not that I'm a Diddy fan at all. Don't like him. Thought he was a creep. Think he's bad man. But it's just, Jonathan Majors. Look at what happened to Majors. And everybody was thinking, he was in that taxi whooping ass. Oh my God. He's just putting all types of slaps too, like back, front, left. Like he was just doing has anybody ever played Mortal Kombat? Because the way they dropped Majors from everything, he had just came fresh off of the Ant-Man movie. The what is it called? The whatever verse. He had just came fresh off the Ant-Man movie, going into new scripts. He had just did Creed. And literally dropped him. Just allegations alone. You fast forward 7 months, the girl who made the allegations against him, arrested. Fast forward at 10 months, there's video footage of him that has been around since a year ago, running. It's like if he was on a movie set, he ran through like 5 different movies. And they got all this footage of him running. Why wasn't that released to the public 2-3 days later? Why wait so long? Why do him like that? Why watch this man get destroyed knowing that all the information isn't out there? It's a fucking shame. If you can follow this ClubRico podcast, follow the Safe and Effective podcast. And when people send DMs, we'll check the DMs periodically. We'll answer questions, talk to people, and we'll just go through my Instagram. And this is where this is how you know what's going to be the topics we're going to talk about. Let's see here. What is this guy right here talking about?
The last office hours of this year. Look, I want to start by addressing something that has occupied a certain...
This is about James O'Keefe.
Small, medium firestorm, maybe large, medium firestorm on X. And that is a piece of news by a journalist called, I think, James O'Keefe.
You think it's James O'Keefe?
He published a video of an internal town hall, I think from June of 21, that I did at Red Hat. And the firestorm is around a set of topics that are asserting, though the language is more, I'll call it deterministic, but it's asserting that what we did is illegal and we are doing discrimination. So let me just get some context. We, IBM, did full advertising from X about a month ago. We have actually no position. X can do whatever it wants to do, whatever it wants to do around free speech, promoting of political opinions. I think and really fundamentally believe is up to X and their management and their ownership. We have no view on it, positive, negative, or anything. What we do not want is that our ads on X are next to content that we find objectionable.
Oh.
By the way, we do the same for any site. It's not unique.
Bullshit. And it's bullshit what they were saying about X as well. If we're going to hold this space and be able to talk to each other freely and not be censored, not be shut down, and just not have everything turned against us in our own country, we're going to have to support spaces like X. Anybody who knows me knows, even though I drive a Tesla, whatever, I'm not an Elon Musk fan. I personally, I have my own opinions about him based on things I've seen him do, his moves he's made. And he gets on here and he lies to all you people about space. He talks to you about nonsense. And like Trump said, he builds rockets that go nowhere. There is no going to the space station. There's no going to the moon. There's no going to Mars. It's all lies and nonsense. You know what's funny? Back in 2016, I have the article. The first manned mission to Mars was supposed to be in 2020. And I remember 2019, 2018, I'm saying to myself, like, I don't see any colonists preparing to leave. I don't hear anything on the news about them recruiting people they're supposed to go. So I was like, I bet you, instead of letting the world know that space is fake and that 59 million a day that NASA gets, it's all been just nonsense and make believe. I said, I bet you they'll burn the whole world's economy and before they let that truth come out. And lo and behold, they got a real good excuse for why the mission to Mars was canceled. It will forever be canceled. There will be no space, what they call those space hotels and all the other imaginary magical shit, you know, colonists and, oh yeah, we're going to go across. If you notice, the people that would be in charge of that, they're talking about that stuff less and less, even though if technology is advancing at the rate of 72, like it should, we should be talking about it more and more. We're not going anywhere. We're here. You know, it's crazy. They want you to use science to remove your belief in God. They want you to think that you're just an insignificant speck of sand on the beach of the universe, and you're nothing. You're just a random, you know, combination of chromosomes and blood vessels, and you just bloop out of thin air. No intelligent design, nothing special about you. And they're lying to you. They're lying to you. And I'm not a super religious person myself, but I now look at what they want you to think and how far, think about it. They want you to call men women now. You know how far away from logic and reality and your own God-given senses you have to be to say, you know what, that dude right there with his mustache and his hairy ass legs, Adam apples, and all types of testicles and stuff, I'm gonna call him a woman. That's how ridiculous things have gotten. And you know, it has to stop somewhere. About this IBM post, a lot of people shut down and a lot of advertisers pulled out from X. And they were using fake reasons saying, oh, we don't want our advertisements next to white supremacists. It's like, shut the fuck. There is no white supremacists. There's none. Who's out here doing all the killing of Bloods and Crips? Are those black supremacists? They're you know, which one is a real, who's actually getting busy and putting in all the work? Everything else is just BS. It's all lies. This is a video right here I shared. It got a few thousand views, and I have a relatively small page because it's a new page. My other ones got deleted just because of the way I talk right here. I try not to talk about as much as I used to because that's what got me in trouble because my research into it uncovered the truth. I was so over the target that I can't even mention any of the stuff that I want to talk about on here. You would have to watch my videos that are on Rumble. And I can tell you the truth about what's going on with the people around you who took it with fairly 80-90% accuracy, almost to the date that you're going to see some type of reactions inside them. But this right here makes sense to me.
I do not believe that God's chosen people are people that live in a little state far away. They reject Christ and spit when they see the cross. I believe that God's chosen people are simply those that believe on his son, Jesus Christ, both Jew and Gentile. God is no respecter of persons, the Bible says. So just because you live in Israel doesn't give you a free pass to heaven. You have to abide by his commandment, which is what? To believe on his son. That's basically the main thing, is to not call the Holy Spirit a liar and believe the gospel, which is Christ died for our sins and rose again. So religiously, I do not stand with Israel as them being God's chosen people, due to what I believe the Bible teaches very clearly, that God's chosen people are those that believe on Jesus, Jew and Gentile. It's open for everybody.
Personally, I reject the word Gentile. If anybody knows what that means, it means you're shit and they're not. But I'll be honest, every group of people feels like their group is the chosen people, except for American white people right now who literally hate themselves. And that ideology of self-hatred and the shaming of you and your heritage and your history is being pushed on everybody. So the only group that I can say does not have this superiority complex right now would be a lot of white Americans, and they should be just as proud of their heritage as anybody else. This whole situation with Palestine versus Israel, it's been going on for a long time, but I can't even get on X because if I'm scrolling, you're going to come across videos of children bleeding, children dead, people dead, and it's hard to watch because we're way in the United States, and there's really not much we can do about it. So even though, but I mean, I feel like it's propaganda on both sides. Both sides are trying to generate an emotional response from people thousands of miles away who don't necessarily have a dog in the fight. I seen people that were very upset when they seen college students in the United States pulling down flyers of missing Jewish people in Israel. Why the fuck are you looking for those people in America? They came up, did they walk here? I know they didn't fly here. Why would there be missing posters of people who are missing in Israel in New York or on a campus of a university thousands of miles away? Like it's there as propaganda. It's there to promote an emotional response. Why do you want us to care so much? Me and my redneck mentality and all my guns, I'm way the hell over here in the US. I'm nowhere near your fight. Why do you care about us? I mean, because we're the only country on earth that taxes the hell out of its citizens just to send it to another country? Is because you want more money? I mean, why do you need our support as individuals so bad? And I mean, I guess you can look at it as a form of power, but I look at it like maybe they think we're just super gullible. Because when I lived in Europe and I lived in Germany and France, I don't remember us taking tons of money from the German budget to send to other countries. Now, I do know in the 50s, after the Nuremberg trials, yes, the Germans were sued and they had to pay a lot of money to the state of Israel for crimes committed by the Reich. But since then, I don't know any other countries that do that. I don't think China or Russia has a huge, they're taxing their citizens and sending a portion of that to other countries for, gender studies and transgender history and all this other nonsense. I've never seen it happen. So it's a sticky topic, but I'm with Trump. I just want people to stop dying. But apparently, even though I'm a big Trump fan, it seems like he is also just like DeSantis, which is way too much Israel first. I'm an America first. I want my politicians or anybody who represents me to be America first. Also, I want them to be America last too. If you are being employed by the United States on behalf of the United States, then America only. I'll go as far as to say that. I don't agree with that. And I don't believe in getting super mad and super emotional and creating chaos here for things going on there. If you really feel like you want to go sit on a freeway, not saying it's not for a good cause, but that's not doing anything but making people upset with you. You literally could fly over there and get busy. I had a lot of people that I used to see with them Ukrainian toilet paper flags in their bio. I'm like, you know what? You get on a flight, head to the front, go get busy. See, if I go over there, I'm fighting on the side of Russia. I agree with Putin. I agree with the Russians and their values, what they stand for. They remind me of America and what we stand for, what we used to stand for before this wokeness took over. That's why they cut off RT and they banned you from hearing anything Putin has to say, because they know you'll agree. And you'll be asking, why aren't our politicians saying what we want them to say? Why aren't our politicians a reflection of us the way Putin is a reflection of the Russian people? That's a fair question, in my opinion. Oh, and let's go to the next topic. The man of the hour. Russian President Vladimir Putin declares victory officially today over the Ukrainian Nazi army, Nazi regime government, and Alinsky, the little peon man that about 2 years ago was playing the piano with his penis while dancing around in high heels as a comedian on a Ukrainian television show called The Servant of the People. You know, the numbers are 500,000 Ukrainian soldiers between the ages of 18 and 38 have been deleted from this earth. That's a whole generation of men in one country. The Ukrainian women are being flown all over the world. They're at parties in Miami, LA, Toronto. They're all over partying while their brothers and their fiancés and boyfriends and husbands were literally sent into a meat grinder for no reason. They could have taken peace, but your piano pianist, that guy Alinsky. You know, how do you follow someone like him in the battle? How do you let someone like him tell you how to win a fight? He's never fought a physical fight in his life. The man's a cross-dresser. He's not fighting sleep. As soon as he gets a little, he goes straight. There's no fight. There was no fight to begin with. This war was lost before it began. Honestly, Putin didn't even have to declare the victory today. He didn't have to declare victory at all. There was never a war. The Russians called it a special military operation. It means it wasn't a fight. Hardly a fight. Matter of fact, Prigozhin and the Wagner group did most of the fighting, and they pretty much won this war. The Russian Federation came in at the end, and they've been there cleaning up. But let me tell you, the hard, nitty-gritty fighting, the real tough parts when everything first started, the prisoners in the Wagner group and Prigozhin, they did all the heavy lifting. Prigozhin is now a memory, and Putin is declared victorious over the Ukraine. So that means that if Putin is declaring, let's see here, what was the special military operation? What was the number one goal of the special military operation? Was to protect the citizens in the Donbass who have been being shelled since the coup in 2014 because they're ethnically Russian. They speak Russian. And also to denazify the Ukrainian military and the Ukrainian government. If Putin is saying that they declare victory today, then that means that they feel that the literal Nazis that were a part of the Ukrainian infrastructure, government, military, etc., have been since deleted. You know, everybody in the United States has a family that probably fought someone that fought in World War II. Who did we fight in World War II? This is a victory for the world. Nazism is something that no one should be proud of or no one should align themselves with. From what we're told Nazism is, no one should be proud of it. So this is actually something we all should celebrate. So to Putin, Nestrovia. Cheers and congratulations. There will still be increment fighting. However, this ends and this goes the way Putin will say it goes. The way the Russians say it goes. Whatever the Russians are going to want to call the Ukraine now, that's what it shall be called. That's it. There is no negotiating. There's none of that. That's over. Oh, and I know a lot of people have been talking about that. I mentioned this earlier, but this is a preview.
States have seceded. The United States
you want to try anything on?
There's a way that there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out with what we see on the news. Seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California.
You see, that's if anything, that's when they lost me. California is gone. In the real world, California is gone. And these movies should be a reflection of reality, at least a little bit in times like this. California is gone. Oregon is gone. Washington State is gone. Illinois is gone. Michigan is gone. New York City is gone for sure. The District of Columbia is gone. And when I say gone, I mean these places are no longer a part of the Fed. Yes, they get federal funding. No, they do not follow federal laws, regulations. For example, when you can just declare your state as a sanctuary state, where you don't have to follow federal laws on immigration, you're no longer a part of the Fed. You're no longer under the umbrella. You're rogue. When you're a border state and the federal government tells you to ignore federal laws, that means the regime in control of your government currently has went rogue. California would not be on the side of Texas. If anything, you got to worry about people who are going through a divorce taking their little sons to California from Texas to have them sterilized and having their, genitals cut off just because the mother wants to get back at the father. And now California is actually a sanctuary state for kids who they want to sterilize. They call it transitions, but there's no such thing because you can never be another gender. So it's basically just mutilation, and it's abuse to children who can't even consent to buying a pack of cigarettes. These are sanctuary states. All this stuff is happening right now. When I talk to people about it in California, my former home, they look at me like I'm speaking Korean to them, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That can't be true." But it is. It's happening right now. And it's happening around you and in your name. And you don't know what to do. I know for me, living in California, people don't know this, but we didn't have to pay bills for 3 years. No rent. If you lived in an apartment that was $10,000 a month, you could save $10,000 a month for 3 years. No one was getting evicted. Evictions turned on about 3 months ago, and we're at about 50,000 evictions in LA County alone per month right now. You didn't have to pay gas. You didn't have to pay electricity. So electricity in your home, gas to go into your home. Only thing you had to pay was your internet bill for 3 years. And people in the rest of the country, now that you're listening to me, you're watching my podcast, I'm going to talk about this more because people didn't know. They had no clue that this is what we were doing in California. Everybody was like, shh, Rico, don't tell nobody. This is our hustle. And I'm telling people, your hustle one day is going to be over. Whatever is going on right now is not going to last forever. They eventually are going to turn the switch back on and they're going to start paying bills. And it's literally destroying California. It's sending us into socialism, into communism, where you're going to have to depend on the state for everything. Because you lost your window to leave. Think about it. Once you get used to not paying bills for 3 years, where can you go? Or how are you going to live when you got to start working again and paying bills? That's a long time. And it's like you get used to being a different type of person. Think about it. If you're not paying bills, you're really not an adult. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not taking care of your family. You're not taking care of your kids. You're just living. That right there means there's the West Coast, especially places like California, there's something else going on there. But they definitely would not be aligned with people in Texas who they didn't go through a lockdown. They paid their bills here. They went to work here. They paid their mortgages here. and nothing didn't stop. And, you know, the people where I'm at in Texas, especially, they've never seen such prosperity because you got all these Californians, New Yorkers, Midwesterners, people from other parts of the South. Everyone's moving to Texas. Why? It's one of the last places left. You got Texas, Florida, South Dakota, Tennessee. Until they pulled that stunt on Kerry Lake, Arizona was on that list. But that's where they lost me when they tried to say California was a part of the resistance. Yeah, right. Hold on.
Have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens? We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death. What?
Every time I survived the war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? We're American. Okay?
Here it is.
Okay. What kind of American are you?
Boom. What kind of American are you? You got to ask people that because we've lived for the last, I'll say 40 years in the United States. We've lived here in such a time of peace and prosperity that we don't know what the real world is like. And in the real world, you will have to fight and eventually you will die defending what you have. Being able to just live in peace and go to work and come home and go to football games and baseball games and, you know, on the weekend you get to relax and, you know, hang out with your friends. Those are luxuries. And luxuries, like all luxuries, must be afforded. You think people all over the world are living the way we're living in America? No. In other parts of the world, they live in reality. You know, what are my friends in Europe doing right now that it's getting cold? What are they telling them to do about energy? This is still mid-December. It hasn't even gotten to January, February yet when the real cold gets here. You think everybody's planning on taking vacations this year? All of NATO is in recession. Why? They buried themselves in debt, giving all their military money, all their supplies, everything to the Ukraine just to stick it in basically a garbage disposal. Everything that was sent to Ukraine, the Russians knew where it was and literally destroyed all the equipment. All of NATO is demilitarized. And now with no energy from Russia, no cheap, reliable energy from Russia, they've all went into recession. Germany, which is the strongest country in Europe, no longer has access to energy. What is that going to tell you about the prosperity of Europe over the next 5 years, 2 years? It will be zero. So it's a fair question when you ask someone, what type of American are you? Because whatever type you are is the type you're going to have to be willing to fight to the death for. Do you believe in, you know, castrating children? Yeah. Would you fight to the death to protect the right to do so? When he's asking what kind of American are you? That's what he's asking. What are the beliefs? What type of American are you? What type of American beliefs do you have that you are willing to fight and die to protect? That's a fair question. You know, what do they say? The tree of liberty must be periodically watered with the blood of patriots. I know in my generation, we haven't had to water that tree with anyone's blood yet. But we expect that tree of liberty to still grow, and we're supposed to be protected by the shade of its leaves. Yet no one's doing the landscaping. It's unrealistic. You know, those people in Russia, they were fighting in the Ukraine to protect their way of life. everyone around the world in charge, not the people, just the people in charge around the world as well, around NATO, not BRICS nations, just in the West. We're all calling for the destruction and the mass deletion of all Russians, their language, their history, their Orthodox religion, everything. How do you call for something like that and then sleep at night? Because, one thing I've learned in life is anything that you've ever said about someone else, what happens if someone says that about you? I remember a year ago, people were talking to me about the Ukraine, like, oh, so we're going to do, just let them. It's like, what do you mean let? You're not letting anybody do anything. They didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell to begin with. This wasn't a fight. But the media lied to the American people and to the Ukrainian people all the way up until about a week ago. Told them that the Russians were out of missiles. They basically gassed up the Ukrainians to get themselves deleted. Why? In my opinion, it was a test to show that the media is 100 times more powerful than we thought it was. They used to say the pen is mightier than the sword. I'm thinking now the microphone is mightier than the gun. Anybody with any sense in the Ukraine would have known going against the Russian Federation was suicide. They didn't have freedom to begin with. The Ukraine is not a democracy. The Ukraine is not an ally. They're not even having elections this year. What are you trying to protect and why? And then you find out all the money they sent the current president and all that. And it's like, okay, so they paid him just to get themselves deleted? I mean, was it a gamble? I'm still trying to, if I knew, I would tell you guys, and I'm going to figure it out. There are some things I know, but I don't understand. The Chinese, the Ukrainians, and the Russians, etc., were sending money to Hunter and Biden through different means. Why is everybody paying them? And the only ones that ended up benefiting at the end were the Russians. But why were the Russians paying them? Was it for this result? Did the Ukrainians get paid them for this result? Who was supposed to benefit off of what results from those payments? And I don't even have all the answers. And trust me, I've been looking. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. Oh, yeah. My boy, Red Pill Rocky, #2. This is one of his posts. And this is in LA. You can see my old apartment building right here. The Orsini. This is people fighting on the freeway, making a scene, wearing masks. Like, why are you wearing a mask on the freeway, blocking traffic on the 110 freeway right before you get on the 101? People are talking about, oh man, hundreds of people. Hundreds? You mean tens of thousands of people. That freeway was backed up all the way down, probably to the 405, where the 110 and the 405 meet. Over what? Just to make a temporary scene? And like I said, California is gone. That's California. Now this view right now, again, I have a relatively small page right now. I'm just restarting my YouTube channel. If you can, please go to YouTube and subscribe to ClubRico Podcast. This would be my third YouTube that got deleted. This would be my 8th Instagram account to get deleted. Eventually it will be deleted. I'm gonna just try to, play it safe, whatever, but you got to know what's coming. The closer we get to the elections, some more censorship. And apparently, if you look like me, you talk like me, and you have the tan that I have, you're apparently deemed as influential. A lot of people who care about the country, a lot of people who are, want you to be informed, they typically look a certain way. So they have their own audiences. But people that look like me are the target audience to get them to do your dirty work because they're usually in a sense of ignorance to reality, and they believe any propaganda. And also, if you're a dark-skinned person and you've been taught that you're oppressed and that you're pathetic and that you were a slave, I wasn't taught any of that nonsense because it's bullshit. But for those who were, when someone walks up to you and they're wearing a mask and they're trans man, but they say, you know what? Black is beautiful, and I hate white people because they're all evil and racist. And even though this is a white person wearing a mask themselves, they can now control you after that because you're going to look at them as an ally. But who are you in alliance against? Other white people or conservatives. You have to understand how the manipulation works. And you have to, you got to know how to avoid it. You got to know how to spot it and call it out. So let's look at this next story. Oh, man, this is when it gets kind of good. Actually, this is a whole string of stories that I was trying to tell a story. But even though I have a small page, this video right here had 6,100 likes and hundreds of comments. Even though I'm being shadow banned, there's still people that are getting this material out there, sharing it amongst friends. So I ask other people to do the same. And then we can just come here every day and talk about it. So look at this, and it's weird. None of this stuff was happening before Trump got in office. Isn't that weird? I thought he's just a president. I thought the president's a spokesperson. They don't got no power. Then why wasn't all this stuff going on 10 years ago?
An 11-year-old Colorado girl was assigned to share a bed with a boy who identifies as a transgender girl while on a cross-country school trip. The girl was terrified, as you can imagine.
What the fuck did your parents do to you if you're an 11-year-old boy who's now identifying as a girl and who is likely wearing a mask? What was going on in your home? Who introduced this nonsense to you? And matter of fact, I guess we know the answer. It's these schools. Because how the hell does a school put an 11-year-old girl in the bed with an 11-year-old boy wearing a girl face? Because you're still a male, but you dress up as a girl. You're wearing girl face. You're pretending to be someone else.
Called their mother for help. That girl's parents are demanding answers from the public school system. Tim, what kind of trauma is the transgender masquerade going to cause that little girl, do you think?
Well, for every little girl who is in a sporting event, in a school bathroom, a school shower, school locker room, that has a biological male come in, they're going to be traumatized. And this is the kind of woke ideology, we used to call this evil, that has to be opposed. And as Christians, we have to stand up against this kind of evil and protect our kids.
The 11-year-old Colorado girl was
sick. Crazy. But relatively new to the current history of our country. All this is new. And in my opinion, all this is all temporary. This was all just done right now to create a temporary distraction so that we're not looking at other things. But I'll be honest, all these plans, all these distractions, all these psyops, they're all going to fail. And they're all going to fail because the number one thing they needed that they didn't get is they needed everybody to take the... And they couldn't do it because of people like myself and others on social media. I remember the reason people keep talking about, well, why they let Alex Jones back on. But I'm like, okay, why did they take him off in the first place? You really think it was because of he insulted Oliver Darcy? Or you think it's because he said not Covington, he said the Sandra Hook didn't really happen? And if he did say that, who gives a fuck? Everybody can have their own opinions. This is America. I can have an opinion of thought. My thoughts are my thoughts. I can think what the fuck I want to think. But that's not why they banned him. The reason they banned him is because of he was the reason why a lot of people didn't take it. Not because of what he said in 2020, but because of what he did back in 2007, 2008. And what Alex Jones did in 2008 was he introduced the world to a man by the name of David Icke. David Icke came out in March of 2020 on a broadcast called the London Real broadcast, and he explained to the world everything you needed to know about what was coming with the fake thing that they tried to say everybody need to wear a mask and be afraid from and stay in the house from. He said it's bullshit. He explained what the PCR test was picking up in your body. He explained everything that the man who created the PCR test, Mr. Dr. Kerry Mullis, who actually passed away right before this whole nonsense started, they took him out. And how electron microscopy cannot tell you either way. Or you have something you don't, it's all nonsense. And Fauci, people like Fauci, he was talking about Fauci years ago, years before lockdown. And he said what they were going to do was try to use his invention to push their own agendas that would not be in favor of the public that they're being paid to protect. The man literally said that. Because of David Icke, people who were afraid were calmed. And when you're calm, you're able to think. You're not making rash decisions. You're able to be, you're calm. You can think clearly for your family. And you can explain, you can listen to what he said, and you can explain to others what is going on. And in hindsight, the man told you the truth, and he saved millions in this country. Worldwide, probably billions. But if you notice, they didn't give out the worldwide. They focused on Western English-speaking countries that were formerly under the Commonwealth, except for with the exception of France and Germany. And you know what? I would say Denmark, also Denmark and Norway, because I did see their people collapsing on video as they took it. But for the most part, they focused on Western countries. And also, you know, if you look at who's in charge of these Western countries, it's the same people that they have on the chopping block over here, Caucasians. You know, whoever's behind all this, they see Caucasians and white people as being a really big hurdle in their quest for world domination. Because no matter where you go, white people have a history of wanting to defend their countries, a history of patriotism. If you're an immigrant or if you pretend you used to be a slave, but you never were, you're not going to, a lot of them aren't just, it's not born in you. You develop it, but it's not an innate sense of patriotism and love for country. So you see who they're trying to get out of the way.
You're filming minors in bathing.
Oh, is that right? Well, we're not. And secondly, there is a man showering with minors.
Allowed to be here. You are trespassing now, and you are not allowed to film.
So what is your name?
Right here. I'm not giving you my name.
Are you a security guard?
You are not allowed to be here.
You have a security license?
You are not allowed to be here.
Well,
Look at
you
that.
could be anybody, so I don't know who you are. Why are you upset about us filming?
She's not a security guard. She won't say if she works there, but you're going to stop him from filming, doing a story about how you have a senior, older man taking showers with little girls. You'll stop him from interviewing that, but you won't go in that locker room and pull that man out. Is that man in the locker room paying her? No. She's a part of the cult. And at this level, these people, they're fighting for their lives because they know that if law and order is ever restored, if Trump or someone, MAGA, is ever elected, then these people are going to go to jail forever, and in prison, they'll likely die. Because I don't know if anybody knows anyone's in prison or heard the stories, but they're not necessarily the biggest fans of pedos in there. They're not. And that's why these people feel like we're fighting for our lives. When you see these people who claim to be a different gender than they are and they lie about all that stuff and they're saying, oh, this is life-threatening. What you're doing, what you're saying is, you know, violence against me. They're not talking about violence now. They're talking about if you point this out and I get arrested, when I get to prison, they are going to beat me to death. They are going to delete me. I will no longer be here once I get to jail. You pointing this out, you're not. That's why they want to keep their power now, because magically, the way things are right now with all the chaos, the waters are so muddy, you can get away with anything. You can go after kids directly. You can literally be a 51-year-old man showering with little underage girls and their parents are not going to drag you out of there and set you on fire like they would have 30 years ago. You're going to actually get defended by strangers who don't know you with no coordination. But it's funny. I think about how many people without any coordination go along with the fact that they're going to tell their kids that Santa's bringing gifts this year. No coordination, but a lot of people are in on it. And that just kind of tells me something else about the human psyche and how things really work with us. Strange days are coming. Well, they're here. Oh, and this is the one that someone called me about this today too. The Leave the World Behind movie. And excuse me, and how racist it is. I mean, it's so obviously racist that even black people who might have considered themselves BLM 3 years ago are saying, you know what? It's too obvious. Like, it's too obvious how you're trying to get us to be mad at another group. You're trying to divide us. Even though all of our families are all mixed together now anyway, you want us to hate these people. I know in this preview of this movie, she says, you know, we shouldn't trust white people who the fuck thought that was a good idea to write something like that? You couldn't be a white person in the movie and say, you know what, if the power goes off and, you know, if we happen to, there's a Armageddon and we have to hide from the world inside of a bike shop, that we can't trust black people around bikes. If they said something like that in the movie, it would be an uproar. But you got people that, it's like you can say that about white people, but don't let those white people names start with the letter J. You can't say nothing about them, but you could talk about these people. Like, it's crazy how that works. But why is it even allowed? Why are you allowed to say that? Why do they want you? And it's because you're a part of an army and they want you to attack white people come next year. And they're going to legalize it. And they're going to bail you out of jail. And that's going to be the Civil War. That's why that progress flag has every color under the sun, a triangle with a black angle. And it's basically the NATO flag versus one Russian flag. So you're going to have all these different colors on that progress flag versus an American flag with white people behind it. It's literally a mirror of what's happening in Europe with Russia. It's going to happen here with the merger of the Arab BLM and LGBTQ communities versus the conservative community. They're being pitted against each other. Well, mainly they're all being aimed directly at white people, but it's just so hard. It's not going to be easy because this country's in way better shape than people thought it was. Or the race wars would have already started. But if it does start, just know it's a suicide mission, just like it was for the Ukrainians. The same thing's going to happen to the BLM, LGBT. It's basically just going to be you getting yourself deleted, and the media is going to hype you up. The media is going to gas you up, and the media is going to literally walk you into a trap, just like they did the Ukrainians. And if you can't see that now, you'll see it soon. More proof that what I'm saying is true. Boston mayor, what does she look like? And she's saying, let's exclude whites from a holiday party. So what that means is that she wants blacks in the holiday party, but not white people. Because what she wants to do is she wants to be seen as an ally. She wants to be a general in control of this army of really big, physically in stature, strong black people, because she's got a job for you. She got some dirty work for you to do pretty soon. She wants you to be on her side. They all want you to be on their side. Really, at the end of the day, when there's no more bullets and there's no weapons and we have to get down to hand, whichever side big, strong black people are on is the side that's going to win. That's why you have the left and now the right are literally vying to try to get the black community on their side, because you're going to need size, because eventually there won't be enough bullets. There won't be enough bombs. It's going to come down to who physically can do what. And if you got a bunch of big, strong black dudes on your side, the only ones that's going to really be able to deal with them are going to be other big, strong black people. So that's why it's literally everyone's fighting over who's going to get them first. because you need them. Trust me, you don't care this much about what 13% of the population thinks, unless they're actually more than 13%, or because strategically they have more advantages of having on your team than you thought. Oh, this is a funny little skit. I'm not gonna play that one. It's not really inappropriate. Actually, you know what? Let me play it. Remember, I was just talking about how certain liberals or certain people, they try to pander into your insecurities about your skin color, or you feel those lies you tell yourself. The reason you didn't get the job is because of oppression or whatever. They play into it, and they pander into your bullshit, and you think, oh wow, but this is another person who's white also. So how do you let one white person tell you that these other white people are evil, but they're not? It's like you're all white. It's the craziest thing, but this is an example.
Let's run it again. My name is Ruben Rubenstein. I'm from Forest Hill, Queens, and I'm a volunteer basketball coach. Let's go, drive.
So basically,
guys, not gonna make it out of the.
So basically, a white Jewish liberal man coaching these basketball black kids.
The hood with that jump shot. Do it for your baby mama. What, you don't love her? It counts as my community service. Courts let me off easy. I love coaching these kids. We're like family. I don't have any money. Oh, Omar. A lot of these kids are involved. Criminals. Impoverished areas in Brooklyn. My family bought their house double for $5 million. Tough. I don't bring any valuables with me when I come out here to coach. One of these kids told me he's studying to be a drug dealer. I'm studying to be a clinical pharmaceutical scientist. How many baby mamas you want? You want to go to college? You got to have a leadership. They'll inspire you. Jump higher. Lump that. I want to inspire these kids to be.
And it's satirical, but it's funny. They are going to coach you. You're the ones that are going to be on the front lines. You're the ones that are going to be out there throwing your bodies into a meat grinder. That's who they're expecting. Because think about it. This guy, this coach right here, his group that he's apparently from, they're not known for getting busy. You don't see them in the MMA. You don't see them on football fields, basketball courts. You don't see them actually physically doing anything. They send us. They need us. And that's why when you're somebody like me and they think that you talk to us, they got to remove you. Shit, I remember what they did to Wendy Williams when she said she wasn't going to take the. Starting to see the pattern? I've been seeing it. I seen it. We'll end today with where we left off yesterday. So we'll end it with this. And this is true. California spends millions on sex change for prisoners. I have a cousin that's in prison right now. He said that there's so many gay and trans. The guys who are straight are not really straight because they're having sex with all the men that are coming in who are having these transition surgeries. The prisons are paying for breast implants, and they're paying for you to get sterilized. Now, one thing that a lot of people realize is that a lot of people in prison, especially if you were a black male and you took the MMR vaccine I can't say all that. Yeah. So much you can't. You want to say, but you can't. Anyways, you're likely on the spectrum. And if you're people that are on the spectrum end up in prison because you have emotional mood swings and you really can't function in public and you have tempers and all kind of stuff. So you really can't function in society and you eventually end up in prison. And those are the people who they're now castrating and giving these changes. It's not really a change because you can never change your sex, but you can definitely be castrated and sterilized. But if you think back to a man by the name of Hitler, what was he known for doing to people who had mental illness and disabilities? Oh yeah, the Reich, they did the exact same thing. They did the exact same thing. So really, as a whole, 80 years later, we've come full circle. Are you proud? Look, we'll end this one for right now. I'm gonna go. Let me see here. Can I even read some of the comments? I don't know. I don't even know if I hope this mic is working. Oh yeah, I guess it is working. Okay, sweet. So anyway, I'm gonna end this live now. I'm gonna see how it turns out, see how it sounds, and I'll possibly get back on. I get new stories every day. I just share these articles, and what we'll do, we'll just all go through them together at the same time. If you leave a comment, obviously your comments are going to show up when I bring up the article. If you have things you want to talk about, things you want to say, feel free. And then yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow, or no, later on tonight. All right, cheers, and let's see here. Who's somebody that we should not like? I know Jackson Hinkle signs off by saying "fuck Dick Cheney," but there's other people that we should say "fuck you" to. I would say, oh yeah, then well, now I can't even say that right now because there's been some things I've agreed with her on too. That's for me to agree with AOC is crazy. Not a lot, but just one or two. I'm like, I can't really not deal with somebody talking about peace. But anyway, who else can I say fuck to? I would say fuck John McCain, but he's already fucked. He's already deceased. Who's somebody currently right now that's a big asshole that no one likes because you shouldn't like it? The Russian markets are literally on my computer trying to type it. It's all backwards. I don't know how to fix that. I gotta start going through these comments more often. Republicans, yeah. I'm not really a fan of Republicans myself. I agree. Anyway, we're going to end the live. We'll be back. All right, guys. Thanks. All right, let's see here.